Now then, can we bring out our next contestant, please? Sit right in there and tell us your name and where you're from.
I'm Carl Johnston from Kearny, Nebraska.
Well, the first thing I want to say to Mr. Johnston is welcome home, because he has just returned to the United States after an extended stay abroad. There's your first clue, panel. We're very pleased to have you with us, of course, Mr. Johnston. Now, could you tell us where you've been?
Steve, that's my secret.
I'll lay it right in here, and we'll see what happens. Panel, the clue to Mr. Johnston's secret concerns where he has spent the last 3.5 years, and we'll start the game this time with you, Henry.
Mr. Johnston, were you far from here?
Yes.
Were you north of here?
Yes.
Were you at, say, the pole?
Yes.
Well, goodbye.
And now on with our show. No, you're getting in the right neighborhood, Henry, obviously. $20 down, we go to Betsy.
You were at the North Pole.
Yes, part north of here,
I didn't hear you say north of here. All right. You lived with the people of that area rather than working for the government, say?
No.
No, you worked for the government then?
Yes.
You lived in a tent?
No.
Is it where you lived or how you lived that we want to find out? We know where you were.
In the broad sense it is, yes.
Oh, under the ice, on a submarine, a nuclear submarine?
No, dear, they dig
No.
whole cities under the ice.
Whole cities under the ice?
Yeah.
All right. Have you been living under the ice for the last 3.5 years?
No.
$40 down and 40 to go. Bill Cullen.
This entire 3.5 years was not spent at the pole, was it, Mr. Johnston?
No.
You were on that floating ice thing that was released and floated all the way across. Took 3.5 years to get there.
That's the idea. Mr. Johnston actually just returned to the United States, and the reason he spent 3.5 years on the iceberg is that they had to wait for the movie to finish. No, seriously, how did you happen to move to an iceberg to live, sir?
I had met the director of the Arctic Research Lab a few years before, and they were interviewing people to work at the ice station. And I took the interview and was accepted as a cook and baker.
Cook and baker. Probably bake Eskimo pies all the time. What are you screaming for? Nobody paid to get in. Get a nerve of these. I want you to do one free show, bad joke, and they get all sore. Here's a map of where Mr. I'm looking at this Mr. Barrow, I started to call you. Mr. Johnston traveled. This black crooked line is where his drunken iceberg went for 3.5 years. From there to here. How many miles is that, sir?
That was approximately 5,000 nautical miles.
Nautical miles.
Yes.
And is a nautical mile a little longer than a non-nautical mile?
Yes.
All right. What was the Navy's purpose in doing all this traveling and research?
Mainly to find out all they can in about the Arctic region, the ice conditions, the ocean itself, the weather conditions there, and also profile the bottom of the ocean.
I see. When the Navy first started the trip over here around Point Barrow, Alaska, how big was your iceberg then?
It was approximately 3 miles long and 1.5 miles wide. The first summer we lost about 1 mile of length, so when we abandoned the island, it was about 2 miles long and 1.5 miles wide.
It just kept shrinking, huh?
No, just the first summer. After that, it was pretty steady.
I see. Sounded for a while like California real estate. Well, why did the Navy finally abandon it in the last month?
The island was getting down into the Atlantic, where it probably caused a hazard to shipping, and also it's starting to melt away.
I see. What was the coldest ever it got in the iceberg?
About 60 below Fahrenheit.
Boy. And how warm did it get in the summertime?
The warmest was about 40 below, and it averaged 32. Or 40 above, and averaged 32.
I see. Well, Mr. Johnston, they tell me that you were the last man off the iceberg, and the man also who spent the most time on it. That was 41 months out of the iceberg's 48 months, so we congratulate you for keeping a cool head and everything else, and thanks for joining us tonight. Good luck to you.